Something is wrong with the comet from another star, China's Tianwen-1 probe. After losing more than 13% of it while past 3i Atlas should be D, but there's nothing. In the Fot diffuse sphere, a hazy ball of line, no tail, no jets, no visible debris, no sign of the chaos that should be unfolding T. And that's only the beginning. Overton anomalies have been confirmed about this object, 10 distinct behaviors that defy each less than 1 in 10,000. No one is saying the object is artificial, but all we know is that something very strange has passed through, and the more data we collect, the less sense it makes. October 2025, Mars. While almost everyone on Earth looked elsewhere, China's Tianwen-1 tracked a faint point of light, the probe, circling the red planet. But now it was following something they're visiting. The object was moving through the solar system at 58 kilometers per second relative to the Sun, about 129,000 miles per hour. At that speed, 18 minutes, its nucleus measured about 5.6 kilometers across, roughly the width of Manhattan, and it was 30 meters away from Tianwen-1's camera. Think about that challenge for a moment. A camera built to photograph Mars' surface in high resolution from a few hundred kilometers up had to reprogram to track a target. The China National SPA didn't announce the attempt until it had succeeded on November 5th. The world they called it Comet, the diffuse gas cloud that type stretching for several thousand kilometers. But there was something the Chinese officials didn't emphasize, something that made these images historically. Tianwen-1 was closer to 3i Atlas than any other human instrument had ever been, closer than other spacecraft, such as Europe's Mars Express and TR. Also, but none captured images with comparable sharpness. And it was in those images that the mystery appeared. Whoosh! When a comet nears the Sun, the heat causes its surface ice to sublimate, to turn directly from solid to gas. The jets from that evaporation form solar wind and radiation pressure. The closer the comet gets, the puissance. 3i Atlas reached perihelion, its closest point to the Sun, on October 30th, 2025 at 0, close, at there. According to calculations from NA, the common gravitational acceleration, a gent t, radial acceleration 1.1 to 10.6 AU to day 2, transverse acceleration 3.7 x 10 to 7 AU day 2. Using conservation of momentum, that means the comet lost at least one as it p, 13%. That's not mildly cataclysmic. For a body of 30 billion ton t, 4 billion tons of 4 bill spectacular tail, visible for millions of kilometers, one of the grandest ever recorded. But on November 5th, two observatories, Virtual Telescope and Spain's Arnaves Ob, released images taken after Perry both showed the no tail. In the photos, the direction of the Sun and the anti-solar direction are clearly marked. That's where the tail should be. For comparison, the same Spanish observatory photographed Comet Lemon just 2 days earlier. The 3i Atlas, however, is just a dim. The contrast is unsettling. Theories and astronomers are cautious. There are posse. Perhaps the expelled material was mostly gas, not dust, making it invis. Or maybe the viewing geometry aligned the tail with our line of sight, making it ape. Or perhaps the mass loss are wrong, and the push wasn't caused by outgas. Each hypothesis is plausible, but each requires a special coins. And when you start stacking coincidences, because the missing tail is just the T, there were already 9 others, each stray. Alone they would be curiosities. Together they form a pattern that shouldn't exist. Anomaly 1. When the comet was first detected, on July 1st, 2025, observatories worldwide calculated its orbit. Within weeks, something stood out. The path was almost perfectly aligned with the ecliptic plane, the flat disk in which the planets orbit. That coincidence is extremely rare. Interstellar objects should arrive from random angles. There's no universal plane out there. The chance of one crossing our planetary disk within 5 degrees is less than 0.2%. And yet 3i Atlas did exactly that, moving retrograde opposite to the planets, but still almost perfectly within their orbital plane. Before anyone even studied its composition, the object's mere arrival path was already statistically absurd. Anomaly 2. The sunward jet. Between July and August, observatories in Europe and Asia captured something never seen before, a jet of material streaming toward the Sun. By definition, comets eject material away from the Sun, Radiation pressure and solar wind make the idea of a sunward jet physically impossible, like blowing smoke into a fan. Some proposed it was a visual illusion, an anti-tail seen edge-on, but after verifying viewing angles and geometry, astronomers confirmed it was real, a genuine outflow directed sunward against radiation pressure. No natural comet has ever behaved this way. There's no known physical mechanism to sustain such a jet. Anomaly 3. Mass and speed, an impossible combination. 3I Atlas's nucleus, about 5.6 kilometers wide and 30 billion tons in mass, is 1 million times heavier than Oumuamua and 1,000 times heavier than 2I Borisov, yet it moves faster than either, 58 kilometers. Large objects are rare, fast ones are rare. Finding one that's both is astronomically improbable, less than 1 in 1,000 by statistical models, and yet there it was, huge, fast, interstellar. 3 interstellar visitors detected so far, each unlike the others, and this one the strangest by far. Anomaly 4, the planetary route. In September, 3I Atlas passed within tens of millions of kilometers of Mars, close enough for detailed monitoring by orbiters. Then it swept by Venus and later grazed Jupiter's orbital region. 3 planetary encounters, each within weeks of the other, all perfectly positioned for spacecraft observation, none close enough to alter its orbit. And the timing. At perihelion, when the comet was closest to the Sun and brightest, Earth was directly behind the Sun, blinded, unable to see a thing. The probability of such geometry happening naturally? 0.05%. Coincidence? Maybe. But a suspiciously convenient one. Anomaly 5, the metallic composition. Spectroscopic data revealed unusually high levels of nickel, more nickel than iron. In every known comet, iron dominates. 3I Atlas flips the ratio completely. Even stranger, the nickel appears in metallic form, not bound in compounds, a pattern typical of industrial alloys, not natural rocks. The Ni-CN ratio, nickel to cyanide, was found to be hundreds to 1,000 times higher than any other comet, including Borisov. Not a small deviation, a chemical signature entirely apart. A natural formation, possible, but the odds drop below 1%. Anomaly 6. The missing water. Comets are frozen reservoirs of water and dust, up to 70–80% ice by mass. That's what makes them shine near the Sun. 3I Atlas, however, contains only 4% water. 4. That's not a comet. That's a rock with frost. No known model of comet formation in any stellar environment can produce so little ice. And yet, it was active, faintly emitting gas and showing acceleration it shouldn't. Anomaly 7. Extreme negative polarization. When sunlight reflects off dust, it becomes polarized. The polarization angle and intensity tell scientists about the surface and particle properties. Across thousands of comets, the pattern is consistent, until now. 3I Atlas showed strong negative polarization, completely opposite the expected direction. 3 independent teams confirmed the data. No natural dust model fits. It's an absolute polarization anomaly, unprecedented in astronomy. Anomaly 8. The WOW alignment. In 1977, Ohio State's Big Ear telescope detected a 72-second radio signal from Sagittarius, narrowband, intense, never repeated. The astronomer circled it and wrote, "Wow!" The estimated origin aligns within 9 degrees of 3I Atlas's incoming path. 9 degrees is a small patch of sky. Coincidence? Likely. But the probability of that coincidence is only 0.6%, and astronomers notice when improbable things line up. Anomaly 9. The blue brightening. Near perihelion, 3I Atlas suddenly brightened, tenfold in 36 hours, faster than any model predicts, and its color turned blue. Comets usually mirror the sun's hue, yellowish or white. Blue requires selective reflection of short wavelengths, seen only in ionized metals or rare gases, or engineered surfaces. No natural process explains it. It looked as if the comet were emitting light, not reflecting it. Anomaly 10. The vanished tail. The physics is clear. 4 billion tons of mass gone, yet no tail, no debris, no gas signature. The material didn't disperse. It disappeared. The data are consistent. Measurable mass loss, 0 visible emission, as if matter were being converted into energy through a mechanism we don't understand. Stacking the improbabilities. Individually, each anomaly has a possible explanation. Together, their combined probability is less than 1 in 10,000. Statistically, it's not random. Something about 3i Atlas defies the models. And that's forcing the astronomical community to admit we don't fully understand what we're seeing. The silence before the storm. After the CNSA released the images, official statements were restrained. Technological achievement, data of interest. But within weeks, quiet discussions became global debates. Teams across the US, Europe, Japan, and India compared results. Everything matched, except the missing tail. By December, 3i Atlas had gone from technical note to the most discussed astronomical event of the decade. Beijing's Space Tracking Center released 12 GB of raw Tianwen-1 data, images, light curves, calibration logs. "We want full scientific transparency," the spokesperson said. Translation: "We don't know what this is either." JPL issued its final trajectory report. The object exhibits non-gravitational acceleration consistent with mass ejection, but without tail evidence. Physical cause undetermined. Cold, precise, and deeply unsettling. 2 camps. In Chile's Atacama Desert, the European Southern Observatory launched a massive coordinated campaign using the VLT, ALMA, and SOAR. Even James Webb dedicated 72 hours for infrared spectra. Results were consistent. Reflections matched cold nickel-based alloys, no water signatures, no CO or CH4 emissions. A solid body, accelerating as if active. 2 schools emerged. The natural extremist hypothesis. 3i Atlas is natural but extreme, formed in a high metallicity system under exotic conditions. It's rare, but not impossible. The artifact hypothesis. It's designed. Not a spacecraft in the science fiction sense, but an object with structure and purpose. Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb summarized it succinctly. "I'm not saying it's a ship. I'm saying it doesn't behave like anything natural we know. When multiple anomalies converge, technology may be the simpler explanation." The math of improbability. A team at Kyoto University ran the numbers. The likelihood of all 10 anomalies occurring together by chance, less than 1 in 100,000. In Science, wrote Dr. Ryosuke Hatanaka, that's the statistical equivalent of a miracle, or a gap in our physics. The final behavior. As 3i Atlas moved away from the sun, it should have dimmed. Instead, its blue glow persisted, and its acceleration continued long after the heat faded. On December 19, 2025, it passed 270 million kilometers from Earth, its closest approach. A few telescopes caught final glimpses before it vanished into darkness. The last image came from Hawaii's Gemini North, a quiet, hazy sphere drifting outward, never to return. The human impact. By January, 3i Atlas had escaped astronomy and entered culture. Documentaries, podcasts, viral threads, hundreds of papers, millions of viewers. One letter stood out. Chilean engineer Dario Villan wrote, "My 18-year-old daughter never cared about astronomy. Now she wants to study astrophysics, not because she believes in aliens, but because for the first time she realized space is still a genuine mystery." The letter went viral. It captured what 3i Atlas truly gave us: wonder. What we know. 3i Atlas is the 3rd interstellar object ever detected. It's the largest and fastest of them. It shows metallic composition, little water, anomalous acceleration, sunward jets, and no tail. Every measurement is confirmed by multiple independent teams. What we don't know. Why such a massive interstellar object aligns almost perfectly with the planetary plane. Why it loses billions of tons without trace. Why it glows blue. Why its polarization defies physics. Why it accelerates when it shouldn't. And perhaps most importantly, what that means. A new paradigm. The case forced astronomers to redefine Comet. If it has no ice, no dust, no tail, and what is it? In 2026, the International Astronomical Union proposed a new classification, CEN, Cosmic Exotic Nomad. 3i Atlas was the first. The future. The event accelerated new projects. Chile's Vera Rubin Observatory, scheduled for 2026, was retuned to prioritize interstellar detection. Simulations suggest it could find 1 new visitor per year, maybe more. Each will be compared to Atlas. "We're at the beginning of a new era," said astronomer Rebecca Sloan. "For millennia we looked up and saw fixed stars. Now we're realizing things are coming to us, and that changes everything. Between chance and purpose, no one can prove 3i Atlas is artificial, but no one can prove it isn't. It may be a natural relic of another sun, or something else, a fragment of lost technology, a silent messenger, a remnant of a forgotten civilization. It crossed the solar system with precision, hid behind the sun at its brightest and left without a trace. Coincidence or design, we may never know. The lesson of 3i Atlas. Science doesn't advance through certainty, but